Tell me, do we get what we deserve?
Hello, my lovelies. Welcome to my channel. Here we are doing another very quick, effective spell. I'm sure all of you guys, if not, have heard of the ammonia reversal or using the ammonia to reverse any situation. So if you're currently going through difficulties, money-wise, struggling, not having a job, the job you have is not, the ideal energy, whatever your situation is, definitely stay tuned as I will show you guys exactly what to do to reverse that situation and get the best results. So what you're going to be needing is very, very simplistic. You don't need, this is not a very complex spell. It is very, very simple. All you need is a jar with a lid. You're going to need brown parchment paper. It has to be parchment paper. Now you can do with white paper as well. Ideally, to get the quickest, most effortlessly results, stick with the parchment paper. But if you can't find or you don't have parchment paper, you can always use the regular white paper. Just make sure that it has absolutely no lines in it. Like I said, a jar with a lid and ammonia. That's pretty much all you really need. Now, if you really want to set the mood and ground yourself and put you really into the mental state of projection, what you can do is have incense in the background like I do. And this is what this is going to do. It's going to help you align yourself in a beginning or going into this spell work, okay? So like I said, it's not very complex. It is very easy. Anyone can do this. You don't have to have any experience whatsoever. And I guarantee you guys that if you do this with faith and constantly doing throughout this process, constantly focusing on what you're wanting to change or what you're wanting to do, you will get results. Now, the reason why I say this is a very effortlessly type of spell is because a lot of the times when it comes to spell work, a lot of people ask, Jessica, why don't I get any quick results? Why is it so difficult? Well, the reason why it's difficult because part of the craft or part of magic or witchcraft has a lot to do with projection, with projecting and receiving energy. And a lot of people have difficulty detaching themselves from the situation to focus on what you're wanting as an outcome, to bend the situation or to bend what is here and now. So a lot of people don't really understand that process. Well, with this spell, we're doing exactly what normal human beings tend to do, which is focus on the negative. So what we're doing is it's very easy. There's no resistance. I have found that in this practice, a lot of people naturally gravitate towards negative thinking because of self-conditioning or because of all the, things that have either from childhood or from experience we've quickly find, and we accept that as a reality. So it's easier for us to focus on what we don't have than to focus on what we do have. Well, because of this spell, this is a reversal of the situation. So it should be very easy for anyone to do because I'm sure there's not much difficulty or resistance when it comes to focusing on the negative. So again, you don't really have to alter your state of mind with this spell. So again, it is basically idiot proof. You will get results. Some, it may take a little bit longer. For others, it may be very, very quick, depending again, when it comes to focus. But even if you don't have experience, like I said, in projecting or receiving, this is natural because, well, it's not natural. You shouldn't be negative. But what I mean is it becomes much more easier for people because, again, it's difficult to understand when it comes to witchcraft, how to bend the current situation, etc. So it's difficult for people to focus on what's to come, and it's easier to focus on the here and now, what's happening, what we're experiencing. So with this spell, it is easy. All you have to do is write down what you don't like of the situation and you will quickly see it reversed. You will quickly see it completely change. You will, again, like I said, you will be experiencing the positive result, and all you're doing is putting the focus on the here and now, what's happening, okay? So anyways, enough about that. Let's get into this. Okay, so what you're going to be needing, again, like I said, is you're going to be needing ammonia. You're going to be needing a jar with a lid. You also will be needing tape, as the tape will help you. I'll tell you what we're going to use this for. So like I said, if you want to really focus and hone into that energy to get very quick, and you guys can get results within like 2 days, or even within a couple of hours, depending on, again, how much experience you have with projection and receiving. But if you don't have much experience, it could take still a couple of days or hours. It varies basically. But the more you're aware of energies and stuff like that, the quicker you should get results, if not within hours, okay? So like I said, have incense in the background just to make sure. So an example, if you're doing this for money, then ideally what you're going to be burning is frankincense, or ideally would be a money incense, patchouli, anything like that that will help you alter and really focus into that money energy, okay? If you're doing this for love, obviously you're going to be using some type of love incense. You can use rose incense. You can use dragon's blood incense as well. You can use come to me incense. You can use any type of, pretty much any lavender incense, any type of incense. Now, if you're doing this for health issues, then ideally you would use sandalwood. Sandalwood is very, very strong, and it helps you, whether you're aware of it or not, in a subconscious, it triggers our mind and completely puts us in a relaxed state of mind. So again, stick with sandalwood if you're doing this to reverse a situation in regards to health issues, okay? All right, so what we're going to do, obviously all of these here have already been prepared, but I did leave one out. So what I'm doing these for, these are actually for clients that I'm working right now. So when there is a complex situation, an example, all of these clients have pretty much hired me to do love spells and money spells. But when there is resistance, or when there is a lot of complexity in their situation, other people getting involved and stuff like that, I immediately, before even doing any type of ritual or consecration of rituals, I always do this first. This is the go-to. And the reason for that is because it quickly turns the situation around, and then we proceed with the rituals. So it just amplifies, and what it's doing is it's removing anything that may get in my way when it comes to spell work, okay? So that's the reason why we have all of these. All of these are actually for clients that I recently took on that we're trying to remove, make sure that we are pretty much starting to begin on a clean canvas. So we're removing any type of energies or any type of situations that my clients obviously have been dealing for a while before we actually prepare to do rituals. So again, this is the go-to if you in fact are thinking of doing a spell, whether it's money, whether it's love, whatever it is. I would highly encourage you to do this, because this will help you clear out all that energy that is blocking you, or whether people are interfering and stuff like that. It just removes that situation and completely turns it around. And then when you go forth with the spell work, it will just amplify it. You will get just not only longer term results, but you will also get quick results that you will, here in the physical see very quickly. So again, this is why we're doing this, okay? All right, so obviously these have already been cleansed, they've been charged, they've been consecrated. So I'm basically going to give you the quick lowdown of how to do this. So what we're gonna do is we're going to get the brown parchment paper. As you guys know, when it comes to any type of spell work, when it comes to ripping the papers, you guys already know if you've been following me for a while. The reason why we do this is to remove any negative or any excess energy that may be in the paper, whether it was when they first made it or whether it was the processing of the papers and stuff. You don't want that energy. So that's the reason why we cut the papers or the parchment papers, whatever it is that we're using. Now, in this situation, because we're trying to reverse the situation, We're going to be ripping it. So you're going to get the parchment paper and you're going to turn it towards your left because we're turning the situation, okay? So you're going to turn it to your left. You're going to rip it. Let me show you guys. You're going to rip it like this, okay? And pretty much try to stick with one situation that you're trying to reverse. You can do, the most I would suggest would be 3 different things that you're wanting to reverse in regards to situations. But if it's a completely different situation, an example, if you're having money difficulties, but you also have health issues, then I would encourage you to do both of them as it obviously has to do with your well-being and stabilizing yourself. But if this has something to do with other people or other people being involved, make sure just to do it one. So you would do to turn around one particular situation. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to write on this paper your petition. So the thing about this is you're not going to be writing what you want to happen. You're going to be writing basically the negative. You're going to be writing down what you're trying to reverse. So you're going to be focusing on the here and now. So an example, if it's with money issues, I don't have enough money to save or to spend. I'm always broke. It is really difficult for me to have money. It is difficult for me to basically you can put anything. Okay, so here's the thing, try to be as simplistic as possible. Okay, don't write a freaking book or a novel. Be as simplistic, be as to the point as you possibly can. So an example, if you're having difficulties when it comes to money, then you would put, I am broke. I don't have money to buy whatever it is that you would want to buy. If you're doing this for a relationship, as an example, and your partner's being with someone else, you can put my partner, and then you would put their name, their last name is still seeing whoever, their first name, last name. Or if this is to bring your partner closer to you, you would write my partner, and then their first and last name is cold, is distant, not communicating, is not loving. Don't make sentences, just be to the point. If it's health issues, as an example, if you suffer anxiety, you can put, I suffer anxiety, get panic attacks, have difficulty breathing. Whatever it is that you're experiencing, you're going to write it down, not in a sentence form, but as, again, like I said, as blunt and as to the point as possible. So the reason why we're doing this is because you're reversing that situation. So once this goes into these jars, it's going to completely reverse the situation. So therefore, if you suffer anxiety, you will start to experience that you're no longer experiencing anxiety. You're no longer having difficulty or trouble breathing, or when things become very chaotic, you're going to find yourself being able to be in control of your emotions or become stronger when it comes to your mental state of mind. When it comes to relationships, if you're putting what is currently here in the now happening, my partner's not giving me attention, he's not texting me, he's not loving, then obviously the reversal of that situation would be that he's going to be texting you more often, that she's going to be more loving, more caring, etc. So you can use this basically for anything, but you're writing the here and the now in the present. When we reverse this, then obviously that situation is going to bring you the opposite. So, okay, once we do this, we're going to write down the petition like here, okay? I'm not going to turn it around because I don't want you guys to see the information of my client. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to get, let's say this is the petition. You're going to get a piece of tape, and you're going to obviously fold it kind of like the way it is here, where you can stick the paper from one side, and then on the other side, it's going to go into the lid, okay? So because these lids are, let me show you. So it's like this, right? You're going to paste it on here. Then you're going to put it this way. If it's too long, then you're going to do it the way it is here. You're going to leave these sticking out. You're not going to fold it in. You're just going to leave them sticking out. So when you put it in the jar, you simply put these papers. Let me show you. So you're going to do something like this, okay? So you're going to fold them inward towards the jar, and it's going to look like this. You see that? Okay. So once that is done, well, first you're going to put the paper on the lid. Once that is done, what we're going to do is make sure when you're writing the petition to write it with black ink. I do not, even if it's for love or it's for health, it does not matter. Make sure to write it with black ink. There's a reason behind it. Obviously, you are, I don't want to say commanding, but in retrospect, it kind of is from a, grander scale, grander perspective. You are kind of commanding for the situation to be reversed. So it's, in a way, it's dominating with the black. So that's the reason why we use black. Okay, anyways. So once that is done, obviously, if you have not cleansed it, cleanse the jar or whatnot, you can just pass some sage on it to remove any excess or negative energy. Then what we're going to do is we're going to be filling it. You don't have to put very much, as you guys can see here. Okay, it's like halfway. You don't have to fill it all the way to the top, because once this is done, you're going to be flipping it. Okay, so I'll show you guys in a bit. And be careful not to splash when pouring it. Now, should you have any type of accident when doing this, as an example, if you are trying not to splash and you accidentally splash all over where you're at, where you're working, then my suggestion would be to stop, to toss out the ammonia, to cleanse the space where you're working, to cleanse yourself, so passing some sage or smudging yourself, and then try to recast doing, or try to redo this again, okay? The reason I say that is, again, when we're experiencing a lot of difficulties or blockages, whatever it is that we're performing this for, you may encounter resistance, and when it is very strong, very heavy, you will have unexpected things happen or situations. And that's just letting you know that before proceeding, before really being able to command, you must first physically, spiritually, and mentally remove those blockages. So that's the reason why I'm telling you that. Okay? All right. So once that is done, you have it here. So what you can do is say a prayer. Give me 1 second. This Holy Ghost, I bless and consecrate this ammonia so that it may render results to my client, so that it may switch and turn around completely and absolutely the situation for my client. Okay, so once that is done, what we're going to do is now we're going to put this in the jar. Like I said, try not to rip the paper, try not to fold the paper before I seal it. You can see that. You see that? So the paper, even if it is a little bit longer than the lid, leave it the way it is, like this, so that the paper, the whole paper itself is going to get wet. You don't want it sticking out of the lid. So again, okay, so once that is done, you're going to close it very tightly, and we're going to use the tape to make sure. So you're going to put the tape around the jar. And the reason for this is because we are going, like I said, we're going to be flipping these jars so that they may remain upside down. Obviously, we are reversing the situation. So that's the reason why we must have it in reverse. Okay? Sorry for the noise, guys. And I do go around it a couple of times. I just want to make sure that it doesn't leak, that there is no leakages or anything like that. Okay, so once that is done, let me turn this around very quickly. All right, so once that is done, okay, as you guys can see here, I try to squeeze it in there so that it can completely seal and there is no leakages or anything like that. Okay. Once that is done, what you're going to do is you're going to leave these, or not these, this, obviously you're doing one. You're going to be putting this either in your altar or wherever you're working, or if you want to put this as an example by, I wouldn't suggest for you to put it in your room, but if need be, you can leave it by your room. Obviously, make sure that when you're doing this, people don't see it, or that people are not going to be trying to figure out what the hell this is. Try to keep it in a private place, okay? So once this is done, what we're going to do is we're going to flip it like this. And as you can see here, the paper is completely filled, right? And you're gonna leave it like that. So give it a couple of days. For some of you guys, you may experience that you get results within a couple of days, like I said. For others of you, depending on the situation, it's going to take a little bit longer. Be patient, you guys. Don't try. When it comes to any type of spell work, no matter what it is that you're doing, you have to be patient. You cannot rush this. You cannot, you have to allow and surrender. And those of you guys that work with me or have worked with me in the past, you guys already know. Pretty much when you trust and surrender, what that means is you are obviously aware of the work that is being done. If you're doing this, obviously you're aware why you're doing it, right? So once you do this, what you do is you pretty much just, it's done. So all you have to do every 2 to 3 days is go look at it, move it around a little, and that's it. That's all you have to do. You have to let the process happen. You can't, like I said, you can't rush this, but don't be surprised if you do get results within hours or within 2 to 3 days, depending on how complex your situation is, or depending on how not complex it is, you will get immediate results, okay? So again, like I said, you leave it like that. You don't touch it, don't mess with it. Every 2 to 3 days, just go look at it so that you can acknowledge what you've done, so you can acknowledge the process here. But then you put it down and you go about your day. So when I say surrender to the process, like I was telling you guys, I don't know why I kind of went other way, but when you surrender to the process, what you're doing is kind of like when you pray, right? When you are going through a devastation or something so difficult, you pray, and then you pretty much have to wait out until you feel that you've gotten your answer. So in this situation, or any situation that has to do with spell work, you acknowledge the fact that it was done. Once in a while, it's okay to think about the spell that was done, but you should not obsess over it. You have to surrender. So you have to let go of control. So then therefore the energy can flow organically, and it can flow freely without any resistance. Remember, you guys, when you're in fear or when you're doubting, what that is basically, or when you're fearing, that is doubt. And when you doubt, there is resistance. So again, like you guys already know, the path to least resistance is to release, let go, have faith, and you will see the amazing results. I send you guys all my love, and we will see each other soon, okay? Bye for now.
And we're down.